So we will go ahead and take Andrew, him from New Jersey. Hello, Andrew. Thank you for calling in the line. How are you? And what would you like to talk about?
Hello, yeah. How y'all doing? I'm here to talk about trans rights.
Great.
Like,
And
mhm.
go for it. Go ahead.
Can you tell me what you mean by trans rights?
Sure. Yeah. So trans rights, meaning that people who are trans deserve the equal rights to all other people in society. So people deserve access to public spaces. They deserve access to medical care. They deserve access to just the trappings of getting a house and all of that type of stuff. So that's what we mean by trans rights. We want to make sure that everybody has equal rights.
And they don't have that already, or they what is it like a
Nope.
law that says you can't? What's the legislation called
Nope.
that
We
says that
don't. We don't. Well, so certain
Yeah,
things like
I mean,
one in particular is that trans people aren't allowed to use bathrooms in several states now. So using the bathroom is a pretty important right that it'd be nice if trans people could do. Trans people also aren't uh, don't have access to the same healthcare that cisgender people do. For example, similar procedures such as breast augmentation or top surgery is you're allowed to get it, and it's under insurance coverage in some cases for cisgender people, but not for transgender people. So things that are done equally for people who are not trans are still not accessible for people who are trans. And with that too, there aren't really protections for someone saying that they don't want to hire trans people or they don't want to give a house to a trans person. So there are things that are important to have when you live in society that are not guaranteed to trans people in the same way that they would be to people who are not trans.
but okay, so like if a person didn't want to hire a trans person, is it like immoral? Like should you be like forced to hire a trans person? Like if you
It's
don't
not
hire
the
them, then
idea
you
It's not the idea that you're forced to hire somebody, it's the fact that you should give them the equal opportunity to get the job, right? So if you were to have, 5 applicants and they're all equal, right? You wouldn't say, "Oh, I don't want a trans person on my staff, so therefore I'm gonna kick them out for the fact of them being trans." That's discrimination, right? And so it's a very real thing. Just in the state of Texas today, they just passed a law to actually ban trans people from the bathrooms. So that is why trans rights is being talked about a lot, because of the fact that our rights are being taken away from us almost on a daily basis in this country.
like okay, like when it comes to the trans bathroom, I guess it's because like you have certain trans women that look like biological women, but then you have certain trans women that look kind of odd. Like you'll see, like it's a dude in a dress. Like it's like some of
So
them
Well,
they don't look
so
feminine.
Andrew, do you know about a condition called PCOS?
Yeah,
So you know that people with PCOS they're women, and they were assigned female at birth, and then they grow up and they have a higher level of testosterone because of their ovarian condition. So a lot of them can have high amounts of facial hair. They can have more masculine features. So do you think that someone's use of the bathroom should be based on how feminine they look, knowing that there are some people who are women who don't look like other women just based on their own personal biology?
um, I I I guess like, but some of like even with women with PCOS, most of them still look like women. Like I know
How do
some
you
women that have
yeah, but
how do you
PCOS.
say that on a general scale? Like, aren't these individual on an individual basis? Not all these people look exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
So some of them are going to
Well,
look more feminine and some of them are going to look more masculine. But should that matter in deciding what bathroom somebody gets to use? Like, what metric do we use? Who decides the rules for who gets to use what bathroom? Are you saying, Andrew, that you get to say if someone's too masculine for the bathroom, or does Trump get to decide who's too masculine for the bathroom? Who sets that scale of who is too masculine for the bathroom?
Well, I guess you have a point. I guess that's why they do it as the biological sex that you're born with. Like for example, like if I can ask you, what is a woman?
Well, Andrew, but
So,
hold on
okay,
with the
wait,
bathroom.
go
Before,
ahead.
like on the bathroom topic, still, if you're going to say that it's based on your sex that you're born as, how should we enforce that with the bathroom? Do you think people should have to have their genitals inspected before using the bathroom? Is that what you're advocating for?
No, I mean, well, I don't know. No,
And
no,
how do you
you can't
enforce?
enforce it.
Then how do you enforce using the bathroom based on your biological sex? How do you think we should go about making sure people are using the correct bathroom?
Well, you with that kind of situation, you literally can't enforce it. Like just like you can't enforce like we have laws on the books against incest. Nobody can enforce it, but you just hope that
You can
people don't do it.
absolutely enforce that.
You can
You
enforce
can
it. So
absolutely.
then
Yeah.
so that if we're not going to enforce any of that, what's the point in making these bathroom rules then? Why can't people just use the bathroom that they're going to use? Like as long as they're not hurting anybody else, they're just going in, doing their business and hopefully washing their hands and leaving. Like why is that such a problem then?
Well, I mean, I guess if that's the case, then why do we have any gender separate bathrooms at all? Why can't grown men go
We
into the women's
shouldn't.
bathroom and use the bathroom?
You're right.
I don't think we
You're right,
should.
Andrew. Yeah, like
Now,
there's
you
no
think men
reason to
should?
have like honestly, the gender neutral bathrooms exist in a lot of areas now where it is all just one area and then everybody washes their hands in a general space as well. Like, so we have these situations already as well. And Andrew, if somebody is going to assault a woman by going into the bathroom, do you think that a bathroom sign is going to stop them?
No.
Exactly. So the idea that we have to try to create these laws to prevent trans people from being able to use the bathroom out of fear or whatnot, or how you said because they look different, is not a feasible way that we should be passing laws. In fact, sexual assault is already a crime. So if anybody goes into a bathroom, even if it's another woman on another woman in the bathroom, that is still a crime. So the idea that we're going to try to pass these laws for like trans people in bathrooms is just redundant.
Okay, well, what about sports? Should
So
should
I,
women?
again, like, so for sports, I'll give you a very clear answer. Anybody K through 12 should be able to have access to the sports because they're just playing with their friends, right? That's the way it should be. And when we're talking about high elite sports or whatever, the Olympics were letting trans people compete since 2003. I believe that the government should stay out of professional sporting leagues at the top level and not be putting blanket bans on everything. I think when you're dealing with education and you're dealing with like colleges even and K through 12, people should be able to play sports with their friends. That's really what it comes down to. And there seems to be a lot of misinformation out there about sports. In fact, there has been zero trans people who have ever won a scholarship to play in the NCAA. So the fact of the matter is, we're talking about maybe a handful of people, maybe 5 to 6 people nationally that are at the highest level of elite competition that we're even talking about. But when we're talking about kids playing sports with their friends, we should let them play.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess yeah. I mean, if they want to play with their friends, that's fine. But
Yeah,
when you got a bunch of
that's all we're
people,
asking
yeah.
for.
I mean, but a lot of in the sports competitions, a lot of them aren't their friends. Like and I
What
think
do you
that if
mean
you
a
got a
lot
bunch
of?
of well, when they compete in like wrestling or any kind of like physical contact sport,
Andrew, have you
like
ever or do you come from a wrestling background? Have you done wrestling before?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, have you seen the jujitsu community by chance? Like have you done any
No, I don't
jujitsu
know
or
too
any
much
other
about
grappling
jujitsu.
sports?
Yeah, I don't know
So
too much
which is
about
more
jujitsu.
important? Which is more important in those sports? Size and like skill level and age range, or biological sex? Which do you think is the most important?
Yeah.
I think the no matter how much skill you have, if the person is vastly stronger, like if you got a man that's vastly stronger than you, it
Andrew,
doesn't
think
matter
So
about
what
what
how
about
much
what
skill.
happens, Andrew, what happens when someone gains more muscle mass? What happens to their weight?
It
Does their
typically
weight
goes
go
up.
up or does it stay the same? Yeah, so their
exactly?
weight goes up, right? So the thing that is the big difference when you think about women versus men, I think there's a huge desire to compare averages. And that's not reflective of who's actually competing. When we're thinking about people competing, we're thinking about the individual competitor, right? And if you have weight
Yeah,
classes and you have skill divisions, if you have the biggest man against the smallest woman, of course, that's not really going to happen because they're in completely separate weight categories. That big man's probably over 200 pounds, maybe even up to 300 pounds. And you have maybe the smallest woman is going to be somewhere like 100 to 110 pounds. Like, they're not going to be in the same weight category. So if we standardize it
yeah,
based on weight categories, skill categories, age categories, that's going to be more fair in the end than focusing on biological sex, because the factors that people focus on that give whatever advantage usually come down to muscle mass, height, weight, etc., and not really about like what's in their pants, right? That's not the issue. It's what other factors were caused by a testosterone based development or an estrogen based development. But those
yeah,
all
but
change once you change hormone influence too.
but even men of the same size, like if you got a 130-pound man and a 130-pound woman, the man typically is going to be a lot
Have you watched
stronger,
Andrew?
even with the same.
Have you watched? I call bullshit because coming from jujitsu, where a lot of people train co-ed and then compete separate, when you're training, like people who are the same weight often train together. And I'm talking about professional jujitsu grapplers, like professional MMA fighters, the people in the gym that they pick to go up against, like on a day-to-day basis, are in their same size category and not the same sex. And in fact, a lot of women and men, like they will just train together to train together. You need to learn how to compete with different people of different body types, different body sizes, different skills, uh, different abilities that maybe you haven't thought of facing before. Like there's different strategy to the game. And something too,
Yeah,
like with
I
wrestling,
understand.
that's such a highly dynamic sport. You have advantages in women's wrestling that they don't have in men's wrestling. They have agility, they have speed kind of in their favor. If you watch these different groups compete, if you combine them, it's a much more interesting sport to watch for one, and everybody gets better like more quickly because you have much more exposure to different skill sets and different body types. So this idea that everybody has to be completely evenly matched for one is kind of BS. You're never going to get a sport where everybody's completely evenly matched. And two, the factors that you're fixating on, you're saying that somebody who is assigned male, like someone who is born a male, is by default going to have all of these advantages that a cis woman is not.
Like
And I think there's a disconnect too with how much training is involved, how much strategy is involved. Do you think that someone that just by being a man they're going to automatically win against a woman in whatever competition?
no, 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 no. I don't think that. I know, like when they're younger, like from kindergarten to like maybe
No, even as an
like
adult,
sophomore year.
do you think any adult male is
No, yeah,
just
well,
going to by default win against a woman?
no, like I don't know, not by default. Like what I'm saying is like when I was
So what
wrestling and stuff,
factors then,
when
Andrew? So what factors then
when,
cause somebody to have those skill advantages in sports?
like I was saying, like when I was wrestling in high school, the girls they stood absolutely no chance. Like when I went up against
Andrew,
like
can I ask you a
two.
question? I want to I
Yeah.
want to ask you a question. How much did you weigh? How much did you weigh back then,
Yeah.
or when you were wrestling?
What? Like
What
145.
145. And so you're what, like probably like close to 6 foot? What's
Right
your height?
now, yeah, I'm 6 foot. Right now, I'm
Okay.
6 foot 187.
Okay, great. So if you were in a competition against someone, a person that was born a female, and they were actually 6'5", 6'6", and they were 220 pounds, do you think that would be a fair competition to you? You think you're going to be able to beat that
Like
person?
a woman that size or a man?
Yeah, yeah,
A woman that size? Yeah, I think I'll
yeah.
destroy her.
You think you would
Yeah, I'll
destroy
destroy
a
6'5",
six
200.
six? Okay,
I
like,
don't I
and
call
why?
bullshit, Andrew.
And so, Andrew, I want to know
I call
why.
bullshit.
How do you know that? How do you quantify that? How
What
do
do
you
you
just
mean?
know that that's the case? So we're talking about a trained, 6'5",
Yeah.
220, female wrestler, whatever you want to say, like, and you're just gonna dominate them. Why? Because they have a vagina?
Uh, Pretty much. I mean, like most women are, if they're
Really?
pretty, they're not that strong. Huh?
So Andrew, so this goes
Really?
back to so you already said that a man wouldn't win just by default. Yet this argument is you saying that a man would win by default.
That
Andrew,
you would win by default?
I know cis women who are probably half your size who would absolutely wreck your shit on the mat.
I guarantee
I
you they
know some
won't.
people. Oh, so
Andrew,
I mean,
Andrew.
the people I know, Andrew, the people I know are. You think you could beat several professional black belts in jiu-jitsu that have world titles? Are you
I
saying
don't
that
know
you could do that
jujitsu.
because
I
you're a
know
man?
wrestling. No, I
Well,
don't know
it's
Yeah, these
okay.
jujitsu.
people
I
So
know
do
we have a
wrestling
wrestling.
too.
champion,
Wrestling
world
and
champion
jiu-jitsu are
wrestler.
similar. Yeah. Could you beat
Yeah,
somebody of a super elite level just because you're a man?
in jujitsu, probably not. No.
Okay, we're talking about
In
wrestling.
wrestling.
Let's say Andrew,
Because
like in
jiu-jitsu and wrestling
wrestling,
go hand in hand. So
yeah. Well,
I'm gonna say I
I
don't.
don't know about sports like that. But anyway, but what I want to say is, Andrew, think about how silly that sounds. If you were to say all of a sudden it's like, oh, I am this man, Andrew. I have wrestling experience, and now I can beat the elite women wrestlers just because they're women.
I mean, I guess if she's 6'5" and 200 plus pounds, I
That,
guess I can't win. So I'll concede on that. I might not win.
okay,
If she's
all right,
200,
Andrew.
six
All
foot
right.
five. Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough. Fair
you're
enough.
talking about.
what about
You've seen.
yeah? What about the skill thing? Not just because of the size. What about the fact that we mentioned her skill level?
Her skill level?
Yeah. Do you think that
Yeah.
you are an elite wrestler? Is that how you would rank yourself?
I'm not elite, but I got like
So if
one
someone was an
championship.
elite wrestler, so if a woman was an elite wrestler,
Pound for
do you think
pound,
you'd
your
lose?
size.
Yeah, you're
A pound for
equal
pound
in
my size.
size. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
elite
don't know.
wrestler.
I don't know if I'll lose. I have no idea.
Well, at least that's rational, because the reality is that's what sports are. We don't know who's going to win when somebody enters the ring. Like that's the whole point. That's what makes sports
Okay.
exciting. Like that's
So
that's
so so
why
should we
that's
take
why
away
this,
gender for UFC?
I think that we could do things that could match up people's skill levels and weight class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so can
you
Khabib?
take away gender and you rank them based on ability level, age, and size.
Yeah.
So Khabib in the
Like
There you go.
UFC is 50-0 against men. Should he be able to go into the women's division and fight all those women?
Andrew, you're missing the point. We're standardizing
yeah.
for size here. The people that you're bringing
Yeah, I'm
up are
standardizing
super
too.
big. Like Brock Lesnar is, of course, not going to get in the ring with most women because the size difference is huge. That's why we're
No, Khabib
standardizing
is
a
150.
different factor besides gender.
Yeah. No, Khabib is 150. He's only 150 pounds. There are women who are 150 in the UFC. Like, should he? And he's 50-0 against men.
Sure, why
Can
not?
Khabib fight in the one?
Why not?
You want
Well,
Khabib?
Why
well,
not put
Andrew,
him? Why not put a 150-pound woman in with Khabib?
He's going to
if she
destroy
wants
all
to
those
fight,
women.
if she wants to fight, like that's the thing, Andrew. Like you're not giving women the agency. Like we're not talking about putting a guy in a ring and then saying, "Oh, all women have to fight him." We're talking about people who think that they can actually do well and actually fight. This is not a oh, we're going to force all the women to fight this person. If the woman says, "No, I think I can take him," let her fight. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but now you're
If
getting
she
like
wants to,
when he's
if she wants to, let her go. Why do you want to
And yeah,
block that?
And Andrew, we're talking at the professional level here. You're talking professional. They get to choose who they get in the ring with. Like they have a contract ahead of
Yeah.
time, and so they get to decide what terms they get to decide what weight bracket they're going in under. It's a contracted sport, which is totally give them the autonomy to set that up on their own.
so
Why
when
does the
when you
government
have
have to need to get in on
women,
that?
so when you have biological women complaining that they can't beat these dudes, y'all just saying they need to
Who's
just
saying
work
that?
harder than women?
Who's saying that,
Huh?
Andrew? Who are the
The,
cis women saying they can't defeat men? Who are those people?
they've been on like the news and stuff when they were saying how you have these women. I mean
Are you talking
they're
about trans
biological
women?
men.
Are you talking about
Yeah,
trans women? Or
yeah,
are you talking about men? So you see that trans women are men.
yeah. Like, well, biologically, I'm talking about biologically. They're men.
No, that they're
They're not.
biologically they're male. They're not men. Do you understand the difference between gender and sex?
What's the difference?
The difference is one is biological, meaning they have the phenotypical characteristics of like maleness with, all the things and the trappings that come with that. And then gender is how you identify as,
Like,
which is socially
okay,
constructed.
so what does it mean to
So,
identify as a man?
Andrew, are you a man?
Yes, I'm a man.
That's what it means. You just did it. You just demonstrated what it means to identify as a man.
So they identify as like me.
You identified as a man just now, so that that's exactly what it means to identify as a man.
Yeah, but is it like a certain character, a certain amount of trait, or what? Because I identify as a man because
No,
I have a penis
it's
and
how
no testes.
It
you
is
are
your
a man
psychological
because you
sense of
told me you're a
self.
man. Yeah. That's what it is. So when you say I'm a man, that means you're a man.
So if a
Why would I
woman,
why
a
would I
biological,
Well, you're
yeah,
confusing
but
biological again because we're talking about biology is separate, right? Like I am a trans woman. So therefore I was born male, but I identify as a woman. So therefore I am a trans woman. That's how
yeah,
we identify the difference between me. So I am acknowledging the fact that I was born male, but I also understand that I am a woman because that is my general schema of how I look at my life. That's the difference.
so
That's
what
why
is
we
it?
have words that define the difference.
So you're saying that a woman is a set of behaviors or criteria
No,
that
it's
you
it's a
apply to yourself?
psychological sense of self. It is your sense of yourself. If you were alone and nobody told you who you had to be or who you were, who would you say Andrew is? That's what we're talking about.
So
You don't have to
so
look down and touch your penis to prove you're a man,
so
right?
if a nut, yeah, I do. Like, how else are you gonna know if you're a
You
man?
do?
So Andrew,
Because you
Yeah,
just told me you're a
if you
man.
look, if I'm born with a penis, you're a
if
man.
you lost if you lost your male anatomy, would you still be a man?
Yes.
Okay. So it
Okay,
doesn't have
so
anything to
being
do
a
with your
man,
penis.
yeah. So being a man mean like you don't have to have a penis to be a man.
No, but you do have the reproductive pathways of going down
What
that
does
road.
that mean? Describe to me, Andrew, describe to me these reproductive pathways.
like a predisposition genetically to being
No, I'm
a
asking
male.
Andrew. Andrew, I'm asking you if you know what that means because you say this stuff. I doubt you can like walk me through the pathway of how you get to biological sex. But
You want me to explain to you
prove me
how it
wrong.
works?
Yeah,
Well,
because I'm
Like
going to
like
assume that if you're going to make claims like this, that you know a little bit of what you're talking about. And I'm a physician, right? I had to study embryology of sex and how you develop certain anatomical features. I have to study hormones. Uh, I've done a lot more work in this, and I can walk you through every step of the process and why I believe that sex and gender are separate, and why that sex is a spectrum because I know enough of the process. I can, if I were to, like, if you were to narrow down any single part of the pathway, there is no way that you can say that all of these factors are going to be congruent 100% of the time. And so that's why my
well,
position is based on scientific knowledge of how these processes work. So if you are going to disagree with me, I would love it if you could tell me that you understand these processes, and then maybe we'd be on the same page. So you have to
yeah,
demonstrate
yeah,
that
yeah.
fact to me. You can't
No,
just say
yeah,
that there's
I
a predestination to have certain traits. These traits come
no,
from
I'm
somewhere.
still
Do you know where they come from?
no, I'm still studying in on this stuff. I just not too long ago
sure.
starting to learn about it. But
Right. So
So
what
Andrew,
what I
factor?
was
So what factor? If you had to give me one factor that makes somebody a man or makes somebody male,
male.
I guess
what factor would make somebody male?
gamete production, like you produce sperm as a male, and as a woman you produce like ova.
So if somebody
Okay,
cannot produce sperm, but they have all other features of being male, what are they?
They're still a male, I think.
Okay, so it's not gametes. So gametes don't matter then. So
Yeah,
gametes
but
cannot be
their
that
testes
factor.
are supposed to produce sperm. It's just that something happened,
so
like something genetically
Andrew,
or whatever. But we know that they're
if
supposed. We
somebody
know what they're
has
supposed to produce.
if somebody has ovotestes, if they have both ovaries and testes, what are they?
Well, it depends on are they producing sperm and ova, like
They're not
eggs
they're
or
usually
whatever?
not producing anything. They're not producing anything, but they have both parts. What are they?
I don't think that's possible. I don't. I've never heard of no
It
such
is
it
condition.
is
possible.
possible.
It is
It
possible,
is.
and this is again why I was asking you
So
to
yeah,
if you understood this stuff because it sounds like you don't. Because we have case studies of people with ovotestes. This is a real phenomenon. Most often, they are not able to reproduce, but there are plenty of conditions where people have equally male and female anatomy. So, in those
so they
circumstances,
have testes.
how would you assign
They
them?
have wait. So they have testes and produce no sperm, and they have like
And they have
ovaries and produce no.
Yep. So what
How
what would you
how are they
classify them as?
alive? I don't know. What is that? A
Because
chimera or
because
something?
yeah, because gonads, Andrew, because gonads are not required for the rest of your life, right? Like it's not like a
Yeah.
heart or a brain or kidneys or a liver. Like it's gonads. You can be born without gonads and still be a functioning human being.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like. So you mean to tell me there's a person like I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yes,
What's
that
the?
is
I
what
don't
I'm
even know the
saying,
name of
Yes,
it.
Andrew.
please do. So Andrew, first off, I just want to and we will wrap up this call soon, but I do kind of want to ask you a couple questions, right? Because every time these conversations kind of happen, they kind of go down this biology world where it's like male and female and they all and this is what makes and all this type of stuff. But in reality, like when we're walking through the world, we are interacting with people's gender, not sex. And what I mean by that is are walking around and people are the social construction of how people are perceived in the world as women, men, or non-binary. Like there is a completely different way of interacting with people. So when we talk about the difference between sex and gender, it's very important because we want to be accurate in how we speak. Correct, Andrew? Don't you want to be accurate in the way that you speak?
Yeah, I understand. But
Okay.
can
So
I ask
so
a,
when we talk about gender, I want to ask you a question because you wanted to ask a question about what is a woman, and I can maybe get to that, but we may not have enough time for that. But I want to ask you a question since you called on the show. Define gender for me.
gender is a well to me, in my opinion, gender is gender. I don't see a difference between gender and sex, but I guess if you want today's version, it's how you identify, how you self-identify as as a man or a woman. Like some people tell me that
It-
gender is the stereotypical roles of being a woman, like wearing a dress, hair, makeup, stuff like that. That's what people,
well, that's that.
I hear from different trans
So that
people.
is yeah, that's the schema, right? Like everybody in our lives, we all kind of have a kind of an idea of what a man and a woman is, and a person kind of is. We have the like understanding of what general buckets people fit in. Because in the 1800s, people used to wear powdered wigs and heels, and they were mostly men, right, that did that, right? Like so back then it would have been the opposite, right, where it's like, oh, powdered wig, powdered faces, high heels, that was kind of seen as very masculine. The color pink was masculine as well. So things change over time because of the social constructions, and that is kind of what we interact with. So in understanding the fact that there is a difference between gender and sex is how we have really good conversation because words evolve, right? Like we used to just say men are this, women are this, but in reality, we have better words to describe things now than we did before. So wouldn't it make the most sense to make sex and gender different?
Um, Perhaps. I see what you're saying. I do have like
Yeah.
one last question before y'all go. Like if a guy, I mean a male, if he's talking to
Uh-huh.
what he thinks is a woman, should trans people be required to let the opposite sex know that they're trans? Because some trans people
No,
they keep it a secret. Why?
no. Should you be required to disclose any personal business to anybody ever? No, that's
Well,
your
if I
own
want to know
personal
what if I want to
information.
talk to if I want to talk to a woman that because most men want to reproduce with a woman, and you have some trans people are deceptive. They don't tell the person that they're trans.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Okay, hold on. Let me take this. So Andrew, like the idea of being deceptive is kind of messed up, right? Like anybody can be deceptive when they're first meeting somebody. So for example, if you go into a date with somebody and you immediately say, "I want to be able to have sex and reproduce," right? And be like, "I want to start a family and I want to have biological children." And the person, let's say, can't have children, and they're like, "Sure, that's great. Let's go ahead and do that." Do you think that that's okay?
Well, if the person that can't have children, they should let you know that hey, I'm infertile. I can't have kids.
Okay.
Not just you get into a
All
relationship with
right.
them and you fall in love,
All right.
and then
Andrew,
yeah, go ahead.
that's what I'm talking about, right? So when you're on a date with somebody and you're having a conversation about what you're into, if the date's really vibing, right? And you're like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." Usually a trans person's going to disclose to you because they want to be safe and not killed. That's number one. So the case that people are being deceptive and pretending to not be, trans, and then all of a sudden they're in for a surprise that night rarely ever happens because it's dangerous for trans people to do that. So most of the time that
Yeah,
is.
but
But if
when
you're
it
on
does
date
happen,
one, it, if you're on date one and then it doesn't go anywhere, it's like, "Oh, I had a coffee with this guy, but I really wasn't into him, so I'm probably not going to see him again." You have no business to know what's in my pants. How would you
yeah,
feel,
yeah,
Andrew,
yeah.
if a girl was like, "Hey, hey, when they're having coffee with you, you're like, hey, I only want to have people with dick sizes 8 inches or more. Is that okay? Is that what you have? Because if you don't, I'm going to go ahead and call this date off. Would that make you feel
Yeah, I
uncomfortable?
mean, no, it wouldn't make me
Yeah,
feel
it would,
uncomfortable.
right? Because it
I said
wouldn't make
no,
you.
it
So you'd
wouldn't.
be okay with. Okay, so there we go. So there is your answer, right? So if someone was upfront with you and was like, "Hey, I'm vibing with you, but I want to make sure that I'm only going to have sex with somebody that has this long of a thing," right? Then you don't hit that quota, then fine, bye, right? Like that's how
Yeah,
silly the conversation becomes, Andrew. Like when you are having a relationship or a date experience or things like that, we tend to share things that are intimate with people that we're into. Like if you're at a bar and you're just chit chatting with somebody next to you, it's not that person doesn't have to tell you what. If a girl was just sitting next to you and was like, "Hey, I only want to talk to people that have a dick size at this size," are you going to be like, "Whoa, that's really weird to ask for the first thing that you sat down next to me and talked about"? That was how weird it would be if a trans person's like, "Hey, before I say a word to you, can I just tell you that I'm trans?" That's weird, Andrew. Why would we talk about things that are so personal and intimate?
because most dudes don't want to talk to trans women.
Well,
Like
that's their
most
That's
guys
problem.
not
just
true
Trans
though.
women are hot.
That's also not
That's
true.
not true either.
they're
It's
not.
not most
No, well,
men.
it's most men. Most men want biological women.
And that's also your opinion. That's your opinion, man.
That's not
Like
about. That's not my
honestly, I
opinion.
walk
Which
around the
I
world. I
also
walk around the world all the time getting hit on by all types of people. And so I'm going to tell you right now that you're just wrong.
it
That's
was
because
also
they're
your
being
opinion
tricked.
that
But
it was also
I'm
Andrew. It was
a
also your
trick.
opinion. No,
All right,
Andrew. It's
Andrew,
also
I'm
your
going to leave it
opinion
there.
that yeah. It's also your opinion that
Yeah.
men are by default better than women in sports. So I'm not inclined to
Yeah.
believe
So,
your opinions on
Andrew,
things.
I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go because I'm just going to be even more mean at this point. So, call back again and then we can discuss the difference between sex and gender. All right, Andrew. Have a great day.
okay, thank
Bye.
you.
That one crossed a line for me. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm gonna start
Yeah. No.
screaming if I don't. No, 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 no.
Thanks for watching that clip. Hey, we're trying to do some data research about whether or not our callers successfully proved that God existed. If they didn't, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's how we know they failed. But if you don't like and subscribe, you're saying that they succeeded. So you're saying that by liking and subscribing, you will be affirming that you are an atheist. Hey, what else should they do?
I don't know. Maybe go to patreon.com/calltheline and donate some of their hard-earned money.
Like and subscribe.